Tonight on Let It Rip, two high-profile cases in politics sparking two fierce debates about the fairness of our justice system.
It's a witch hunt. It's just a continuation of a witch hunt.
And many Republicans say former President Trump is spot on. They say the DOJ is weaponized against him, and not enough attention is being paid to the Hunter Biden case. Did Biden know about his son's business dealings with Chinese and Ukrainian companies? Some say the feds should be more aggressive and scour that case more deeply. We're diving into both right now. And so time now to Let It Rip with former Democratic state representative and current Detroit School Board member Sherry Gay-Degnago, Auto Workers for Trump 2024 founder Brian Pennebecker, and as always, our resident anchor and attorney Charlie Langton. Always good to see you, the guy who never sleeps. How many hours do you sleep? An hour? You get
about an hour and a half.
About an hour.
Yeah.
Not bad for 3 days, right? You did well. Hey, listen, it's going to be some sleepless days and nights ahead as we head towards, of course, this election, as people with bated breath wait to hear what's going to happen with Trump and Biden. We're going to take on Trump this first half of the show. We're going to take on Biden the second half with the Hunter Biden stuff. Well, I want to begin with you, Brian. Look, a new poll just came out. Not one, not two, not three, but four. And you know the former President Trump watches and listens to these polls. He quotes them all the time.
Sure.
Here we have it. 54% of registered voters say Trump should be prosecuted for trying to overturn the 2020 election. 7 out of 10 voters said anyone convicted of a felony should no longer be able to run for office. You afraid that that's going to happen? He's going to get convicted?
Well, everybody's entitled to their opinion, Roop, and unfortunately, Trump's trials, if and when they're held, will be held in heavily Democratic districts, and that's by design. Washington, D.C., Fulton County, Georgia. Trump will not be able to get a fair trial or seat a fair jury pool in those jurisdictions. But regardless of what happens, a lot of people aren't aware of this, but I had an opportunity to meet Vivek Ramaswamy earlier this week, and I got to talk to him for a few minutes. He told me he's a big fan of Donald Trump. His Vivek's poll numbers are going up, and he shares almost the exact same positions on all the major issues that Donald Trump does. So if Trump does get knocked out for some reason, Vivek is waiting in the wings, and he'll probably be the Republican nominee.
Oh, wow. Not DeSantis. You think it would be Vivek Ramaswamy?
DeSantis should have stayed down in Florida as the governor.
Well, he's polling at 20%. Vivek is polling at 5%. Sherry Gay-Degnago, if someone, this Indian-American entrepreneur, ends up becoming the candidate, is that good or bad for Joe Biden? And do you think that Trump will be knocked out because of these indictments?
Well, I think Americans are certainly are in a place where we're ready to see our country come back together and improve our economy. And the divisive policies that we've seen with the former president now facing jail time, hopefully, certainly we won't be looking for Vivek if he's certainly walking in those same footsteps. So regardless of where he comes from. But we're looking for a Democratic presidential candidate to take the lead. I know the GOP primary is coming and fastly approaching, but with all of this upheaval, I think the former lieutenant governor of Georgia said it best. It's time for the party, their party, to come out and denounce this behavior, this pathological lying and making excuses every time they turn around.
But he's innocent until proven guilty. He is innocent until proven guilty. And so many people watching this right now, probably half the audience are probably saying, wait a minute, Sherry, this is a witch hunt.
Rube,
what do you say to that?
We have smoking guns. I mean, these racketeering charges, Rico is being used by this prosecutor. And so 18 defendants plus the president will have to face this quiet storm or amazing storm that they created to try and steal the presidential election. He's on record calling clerks, calling people, saying, hey, let's bake this cake a different way. Find us some additional votes out there to change the narrative. And when they couldn't do that, they storm the White House.
Well, the Capitol, and when they did so, obviously there was a lot of talk about Mike Pence, and I got to ask you, Brian, this former president, Vice President Pence, was very loyal to him. He did everything that he was asked to do through COVID and everything, and then all of a sudden he goes to uphold the Constitution, saying, "I hold the Constitution above any guy." And hold on, and then Trump called him a wimp, and then calls the Secretary of State in Georgia and says, "Find me the 11,780 votes." Is that becoming of a leader?
Well, there's some of the things that Donald Trump did that He obviously shouldn't have, but he knew that somehow this
Like
election.
what were the things he shouldn't have done?
What we just heard described sound very similar to Stacey Abrams when she lost.
We're not talking about Stacey Abrams.
Can I finish my point, please? When Stacey Abrams said that her election was stolen down in Georgia, when Brian Kemp won the governor's race against her. So questioning the results of an election is a First Amendment protected thing that a lot of candidates do. Hillary Clinton did it in 2016 rather. She said the election was stolen from her. But when Donald Trump does it, all of a sudden there's federal prosecutors coming out of the woodwork to
our attorney,
him.
Charlie Langton. First Amendment right to be able to say, hey man, I don't believe these results are right. And if you believe that Donald Trump really believed that in his heart, he then acts from that piece of truth that he believes in. And then it turns into Rico charges, which are charges that essentially are used against mob bosses. I mean, this is a serious charge.
Well, there's no doubt it's a serious charge, and I think that you do have a right to challenge an election. If you truly believe that there was some inaccuracies, there's a process, that you can challenge the process. But what you can't do, though, is you can't try to manipulate votes. You can't take a voting machine. You can't do that. Listen, there's 41 counts in this thing. There's 100 and some odd overt acts of a criminal conspiracy here. Or a criminal enterprise, I should say. That's a lot. The problem for the prosecutor in this particular Georgia case, you've got 18 defendants plus Trump. 19 lawyers total. It's going to take forever to try this case. And jurors are usually, listen, maybe they can sort things out, maybe they can't. I think it's a very difficult case to try, but it's never going to be tried this year. There's no way is it going to be tried
But what about before the election?
Never before. I don't think so. I really don't think so. It's just too bad.
It's one thing to say that he was trying to exercise his First Amendment rights, Brian.
He went beyond that,
But if you're talking about 13 charges, including election fraud, racketeering, and trying to overturn an election, do you think that constitutes just a First Amendment right to be able to speak?
I don't care if there's 1,000 charges against him. These charges are politically motivated. It's just like the documents case, which is another attempt to keep Donald Trump from being elected president. Joe Biden did the same thing. For God's sake, he had classified documents from back in the 70s when he was a senator.
But Brian,
Senators aren't allowed to take classified documents
But
home.
he gave them up.
But he had them in his garage.
Mike Pence had documents. He gave them up. Donald Trump did not and was asked 3 times to do it.
But why wasn't? Yeah, but he took documents when he was a senator. They're not allowed to take classified documents home. Presidents are. Those were President Trump's possessions. Those were his documents. He was negotiating with the archives to figure out which ones he could keep, which ones he couldn't. They kicked his door down. Armed FBI agents kicked down the former president's door.
Let me ask you a question. Let's be honest here. This is a man who tells the press when he's going to be indicted so that we can get pictures of his plane landing. This is a man who knows that the drama will attract more votes. We know that already. He's ramped up his base even more.
I'll tell you why.
Let me ask you this. Could it be possible that if Donald Trump, the former president in Florida, was told, give up the documents, he gave up 1. They say, no, that's not it, give me more. He gives up the second one. And the third time he says nothing. And they have to kick the door open. Do you think that if he just gave it up, like Biden and Pence did, we wouldn't be talking about this?
You know what?
But do you agree with that?
Yeah, essentially I do agree with it, Roop. But let me tell you why he does that. You say he loves media attention. He does. He knows the Democrats are going to overplay their hand. For God's sake, the FBI was protecting Joe Biden. They've got FD 1023s that allege Joe Biden took a $5 million bribe, and so did Hunter from the CEO of Burisma in Ukraine. The FBI's not investigating that. We don't hear anything about it in the mainstream national news media. So Donald Trump knows that the federal government is corrupt. It's rotten. The CIA, the FBI, the DOJ are all rotten to the core.
Everybody's rotten but Donald Trump.
They're rotten to the core. Trump is exposing that rot.
So
intimidation, all of these things that Donald Trump has done, and everybody is crooked except
he wanted to expose it. He wanted to expose it, and now it's exposed.
So he's turned on his own people.
I'm telling the Fox 2
Giuliani
viewers,
is begging
the
for his
federal
bills to be
government
paid.
is
Hold on one
Say,
second.
oh no, he's not doing that.
True or false, the media and the liberals have been after Donald Trump from the day he went down that escalator to run for office.
Listen,
true or false?
Listen,
True or false? Is that true, though?
True or false? Come on.
Both parties will do things that are in the best interest, oftentimes, of advancing their message. We know that. And so when we talk about First Amendment rights, we have a right to say things, but we don't have a right to go and tamper with machines.
Doesn't this take politics to a different level?
Charlie, go ahead. Charlie, hold on one second. Charlie, go ahead.
You know what? We've had politics that's been mean since the day Washington ran for office.
Absolutely.
I mean, way back when. But now we're using the Justice Department. I don't think it is either. I agree with you. I think we're seeing now the criminal courts being involved on differences of opinion for politics, and that bothers me a lot.
So the weaponization of the justice system?
They're weaponizing the Justice Department on both sides. On both sides.
Thank you.
Donald Trump said, lock her up, talking about Hillary Clinton.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing. It goes both ways.
Yeah, after she smashed her phones with a hammer and wiped her server.
So Sherry, when you look at the email situation, she was using personal emails to do work for the country. That is almost like in the user manual when you walk in the door. Don't do that.
China was all over that.
But she did it, and the question then becomes: is there a double standard? And is the media on the liberal end?
In some instances, Ruth, there is. But the one thing that we find here is are not pathological liars like we see with Donald Trump. And then for Hillary Clinton complying with the judicial system, whereas Donald Trump
she didn't have anything to comply with. The FBI didn't go after her.
What's going to happen on August 25th?
She didn't have to comply, right, Charlie?
Is he going to turn himself in?
So that's a good question.
Is he going to turn himself
August
in?
25th. August 25th.
It's easy to comply when the FBI doesn't kick your door down.
She was not inciting threats across the country. She was not placing our country in harm's way.
Sherry, I want to ask the question that you want answered, and so many people at home, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. August 25th, the deadline for Donald Trump to turn himself in. Does he do it?
I don't know. You know, Donald Trump loves the publicity, and CNN will probably be tipped off to be at Mar-a-Lago, so when they send the FBI in to get him, they'll film it. Donald Trump is on a mission right now, Roop, and here's what it is: to expose the deep, deep corruption in the bureaucratic deep state in the DOJ, the FBI, and the CIA. I said
Brian,
it. The CIA.
I will tell you right now, I've interviewed Donald Trump 3 times. I sat down with him for about 20 minutes. He does love the press, and I guarantee you, he won't just call CNN. He'll tip off Newsmax and his friends at every other organization to make sure cameras are rolling. Of course, we'll be there when it happens as well.
He's going to press his way to a jail cell. That's where he's going.
I want to thank you both for joining us today. Look, we're not done with this. We got lots more months ahead of us. We're going to talk to you, Sherry, more you as well, Brian. Thank you. And from the case dominating the headlines to the case Republicans say too few people are talking about. The special counsel in charge of the Hunter Biden case says there's no plea deal on a gun charge. But Democrats say his issues are far less serious than the ones we just talked about with Trump. The debate next. Back down, let it rip. Shifting our discussion to the latest in the Hunter Biden case. I'm joined now by Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, who needs no introduction, and former Republican State Representative Terrence Murkowski, and of course our Fox 2 anchor and attorney Charlie Langton. Let's get right to it. All right, so here we go. Special counsel now in this case looking at Hunter Biden's situation. You've had no qualms about saying that you were friends with the president, Congresswoman Dingell. Your husband was, you are. Is there any way in your mind that it could be possible that these shell companies that were being kind of put away by Hunter Biden, that somehow the former vice president, now President Biden, had knowledge of some of the things that were going on, some of the talks that were going on?
Look, I'm going to be really clear. We're a nation of laws, and everybody has to abide by the law. We've seen the appointment of a special counsel that is going, that, by the way, was appointed U.S. Attorney by President Trump, that's going to investigate all of these charges. I think Republicans in the House have been investigating this. They have found no evidence to sustain the charges that they keep making, and I think we need to let the process work itself out, but stop all of these conspiracy theories, which sounds great in words, but we're never going to stop them as much as I would like.
So we call them conspiracy theories when it comes to that which we don't agree with, because you'll hear the same thing
they're on both
about
sides,
Trump.
by the
Yeah,
way.
exactly.
No, I mean
know
on
you
both
know that.
sides.
But Terry, a little bit about what you think really is going on here. Do you believe that this president had knowledge of his son's business dealings and perhaps was used in some way to benefit his company?
I hate to disagree with Congresswoman Dingell, and I love her. I'm a prodigy of the city. I'm law enforcement my whole career, from a law enforcement for 35 years, city, state, county, and federal, and then making laws in Lansing.
Sure.
I was also a senior financial investigator with the DEA, and this is what I worked on. 170 stars for a family or a person is ridiculous. These are serious accusations. They're going to be there. There's no way that they're going to be able to avoid these suspicious activity reports that are filed by FinCEN. This is what I did every day. The proof is there. There's no way you're going to be able to hide these from the banks and the subpoenas that are coming. There is a storm coming for the Biden family, and you can. I would be looking at what I've done and what I know. I would say the Biden family is in for some real problems with law enforcement.
A lot of people are looking at this on both sides, and I guess you could use the same words, whether you're criticizing Trump or criticizing Biden, but this is nothing but a distraction to get the eyeballs away from Donald Trump. What do you think about that?
Oh, I totally disagree. We're talking about a sitting president who we have him on film in the Ukraine doing a quick quo pro with the billions of dollars that he was told that his son worked for a corporation there in the Ukraine, and saying that he was holding the money up unless they fired a prosecutor that was looking into this corporation. That to myself, I mean, come on.
But is that Biden you're looking at this? She's looking at you like that's a conspiracy theory?
Biden
no, I mean, I haven't. They haven't. The House Government Affairs Operations Committee, or whatever we're calling it these days, is trying to investigate that. Has not been able to get the details on that.
Well, you have a son of the president who has absolutely no qualifications to be making this kind of money. That's a criminal action, okay? With a Ponzi scheme and with corporations that are set up 101. If you have numerous bank accounts that are being pushed around and smurfed into different accounts, I could prosecute this and look at this in my sleep and say there's something going on. When you have members of the Biden family that are also taking money from governments that are China and Russia that we're hostile with.
I'm going to ask the attorney in the room here about the special counsel, David Weiss. You know, there was a call from Republicans, hey, we need to appoint a special counsel in order to give this case the importance that it needs. It happened. And now the same Republicans are saying, wait a minute here, this is the same guy who came up with that sweetheart plea deal for Hunter Biden, and now he's in charge as a special counsel, and he's not going to be, he'll be the weakest T around. Is that true?
Probably. Yeah, probably. I think he is the weakest. I don't care. He's a Trump appointee. It doesn't matter to me. The guy didn't pay his taxes. Hunter Biden didn't pay his taxes, and he owes a couple $100,000. Apparently, someone else paid it for him. I've got a lot of questions about that. How much this plays a role in? I don't think Hunter Biden's running for anything, is he?
Nope.
So this is a little bit different than Trump and the other ones. It's again politicizing the political process. I hate it. I don't like it.
But Charlie, when money's going to the big guy is the president.
I'm going to help you.
The buck stops there.
There's a lot of questions of where did he get the money? Is he a registered lobbyist, which he apparently has to be an agent? Right. And where's the source of this income coming from?
But we're talking about Hunter Biden. We're not talking about President Biden.
I agree.
We should be having it. Nobody is above the law. Nobody. Republican or Democrat.
Correct.
And I'm going to tell you the biggest
100%.
point I want to make tonight. Any trials, any investigations should be transparent and open to the public.
Absolutely.
I think every Donald Trump needs to be televised, because I don't care which side of the aisle you are on this or what you believe.
You want Donald Trump to be on television?
Yeah.
Well, the trial in Georgia likely will be on television.
But Georgia will be because of different
Thank you.
laws.
He'll be our next president.
But I'm not. I've said more than one person that I think Donald Trump could very well win the nomination. Wow. And by the way, even people at this table didn't believe me when I said he could win the presidency in 2016. He could still be. But I don't, just in open and transparency, people need to see the evidence that's presented, the credibility of the evidence, the witnesses and their testimony.
Congresswoman, you said that no one's above the law. But
Nobody is.
we all agree with that. But when you look at Hunter Biden's case and you look at that deal that was put together, that plea deal, we're talking about 2 misdemeanors in order to divert away from that gun charge, right? And that deal obviously didn't go through. But the question is, this is the guy, the special counsel who put that deal together. A random person on the streets who's accused of the same crime would not have that sweetheart deal put together. This is the president's son, and he carries that with him everywhere he goes, doesn't he?
I think that look, I wasn't in the room. I wasn't part of these discussions. Yeah, he is the president's son, and nobody's above the law, just like the way no former president's above the law. I think that they felt this is a man who had been investigating it. He was a U.S. attorney appointed by President Trump. He had those credentials. He knew the case and wanted to give it the force of an independent investigation. I don't know what happened in that plea deal, and I think that you got to have the investigation.
So what happens when your two top candidates are both running for office and the months start dwindling down, and here we are almost election time, and we have two cases against a family member of one of the candidates and then against an actual candidate? What do the American people do with that,
Well,
Terry?
I think the American people are starting to realize that there's a two-tier justice system. I came from the city of Detroit. I got in a little bit of trouble. A Detroit police officer saved me. I became a police officer. Nobody knows better than I do, coming from the streets, how the community perceives justice as not being fair for everybody in America. We have to stop that, because I think Republicans, Democrats, and Independents are seeing what this is.
Both these men are being held to account in some way. Both of these men are literally have the microscope on them from the media and the court system. So we have a president
that is it's being overlooked. I mean, come on, the Hunter Biden story was there before the elections. They have now looked into the laptop and seen that it was no false information.
But is it being overlooked?
There was nothing.
Is it being overlooked? Because we're talking about
by our law enforcement. It was buried by 50 of our law enforcement agencies and our special ops people who said that this was Russia ploy. Congresswoman, was nothing but a lie and a plot.
We don't know that. The government, if you think that this Republicans in the House didn't want to prove that, I know that they wanted to. I'm happy that this is in the courts. My challenge right now, my difficulty, first of all, when you look at what happened when I was one of the people that were there and people came to the Capitol to kill people on January 6th, I think people should be held accountable. But I want it independent. I want everybody to see that trial, but we've got to get the facts.
What's taking them so long? This is 2017 these taxes are from. How long does it take to investigate this thing? This is not that hard a case. I've had cases like this. This guy's a first offense. He's not getting jail. He's going to pay the fine, and that's it. If it's just taxes,
when you got millions and millions and millions of dollars, almost 200.
Had the government not screwed up this deal, this would have gone through. They made some cockamamie immunity agreement, which messed up the whole deal. Don't give the guy immunity. Just let him plead guilty to this. This case may have been over.
So why did he get immunity? That's the question.
Because he's the president's son.
I mean, why was that part of the deal? Why were they thinking about that?
I think they want to close the case. The defense attorney, give me immunity.
But how many times does that happen? Charlie, one of the things that I want to, I've seen people are now getting, that they cut a deal that's cut every single day. I'm not the lawyer. Every single day. And it's got nothing to do with this high a level. Yeah. But people who have done that are now being charged with this and that. My understanding, I'm not a judge, these kinds of deals are cut for everyday people.
So, what hurts
law enforcement, political entities, law enforcement, pastors, people who are held in a higher esteem are held to a higher level. They should not be given these sweetheart deals just because they're the president's son, or because roads might lead to the president, which we know are going to.
Congresswoman, what hurts this president the most? His polling, his age, or this scandal? What's a ding against him?
He's got to go out there and run for president and be accountable to the people and see what he does every day. And
what's the toughest challenge he faces? What's the toughest challenge he faces? The scandal?
I think telling the message of what he's delivered to the American people, because he's delivered a lot in the last.
How about taking millions of dollars from Russia, China, and Ukraine? How about that?
Not true.
Who with countries that we have serious issues with, and look into the safety of our own country.
We're going to give you a chance to have a final thought, as well as Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, when we come back on the other side of the break. And Charlie's taking the show on the road.
The country is paying too much attention to Donald Trump and his indictment versus talking about issues.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Why are we doing that?
You're supposed to disagree with me.
I have other things to focus on besides Donald Trump.
I think that this is the issue, I think that Trump is a symptom of a larger problem.
Do you think there's merit in all of the indictments against Donald Trump, or is it just politics?
I think it's just politics.
It's a political distraction. That's all Donald Trump is, a distraction.
Some people say all these indictments, it's just politics.
It's not just politics. He broke the law. It's not politics, it's justice.
I don't know if Trump is really to blame. I'm not saying that it could be other issues and stuff going on, but I think our country is really to blame because they focus on everything and not really what's happening in our country.
My favorite part is a woman who holds the phone and is on the line with somebody and stops to talk to Charlie. Hey, we gave Terry a final thought right before we went to break. I want the Congresswoman to be able to say her final words as well.
Look, I think we're a nation of laws. Everybody's accountable to the law, but I think that Joe Biden has done a very good job as president, has delivered jobs. The economy's recovering. We've got the lowest unemployment rate we've had in 20 years, and that's the record he's going to run on.
And that's what you'll have to decide when it's time for the election at home. We thank you for joining us, of course, on this edition of Let It Rip. Thank you both for being with us, and we thank you as well.